Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this special podcast, Unwind, the Student Mindcast, brought to you by Delhi Public School, Dimapur. I'm Sangya, your host for today's episode, and I'm so glad that you have joined us for an open and honest conversation about something that truly matters, our mental health. As students, we often hear about the importance of doing well academically, but today we are focusing on something even more important, that is, feeling well mentally and emotionally. Because success means very little if we are constantly stressed, anxious, or disconnected from ourselves. We are deeply honored to have with us Dr. C. Kezo, Joint Director, Department of Health and Family Welfare, State Program Officer, National Mental Health Program, Nagaland, and Ms. Mhiephronguno Khate, Clinical Psychologist, District Hospital, District Mental Health Program, Dimapur. The theme for our discussion today is students and mental health. So without further ado, let's begin our conversation. Ma'am, to start of us, I would like to state about how many people have wrong perceptions about mental health. So what does mental health truly mean? And why is it important for us to understand it correctly?
The first thing that we can know about mental health is that it covers various aspects. It is the emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So it affects how we think, how we feel, how we act, and it is important for our overall health. So why it's important? Because it affects how we think. When our mental health is affected, then it affects our academic life, it affects our social life, it affects our physical health also.
Thank you, ma'am. Students these days, they talk about being overwhelmed with their studies, social media, or expectations. So do you believe that students today experience more stress than before?
One thing is stress has been there since long time back. Stress is not all bad. There is positive stress and there is negative stress. But when it becomes too much, it hampers our daily functioning, then it becomes a negative stress. Social media is one thing that is not helping, that I would like to say. Before also there was stress. We're human beings, we get stressed. But social media is one platform that is hampering our daily functioning, our time management. It is a problem, it is affecting our time management. We all can agree on that.
Thank you, ma'am. For the next question, I would like to talk about how many students, they complain about feeling stomach aches or like sleepless nights, even though they have prepared well for their exams. So do you think emotional stress, it affects the physical health of students?
This is a very good question because our mind and body is related. And I will be sharing a few on this, and then even our psychiatrist can add on if needed. Our mind and body, first thing, it is related. It is much more related than we think. Because if our mind is affected, our body gets affected, our physical being gets affected. If our physical being is affected, our mind gets affected. So one thing, many students say that when exam is near, I get sick, I fall sick. Why is that so? Because stress can play a role in that. Biologically also, scientifically also, there is evidence that our mind is affected with our gut system. Okay, gastric pain, gastric problem. So when we are stressed, when our mind is affected, then our body, that is one example. Gastric problem and then stress is one relationship that you can get out of mind and body relationship.
Let me come into this. This stress also can be recognized through physical symptoms. There are few physical symptoms. When those are obvious and being noticed frequently, like cold sweat, palpitation, nausea, vomiting, or even sleep disturbances, there are few symptoms, sets of symptoms that can indicate that the individual is undergoing some stress, anxiety. In that case, we can get help through appropriate professionals or some shortcut how to manage it by knowing some basics about psychological stress management.
Thank you, sir. For the next question, I would like to ask, what are some healthy ways in which students can deal with their stress or anxiety?
First of all, what is anxiety? We use the term anxiety and stress together, but it is different. Anxiety, some features includes fearful anticipation, right? Constant worrying, in body, it affects us in our physical, like we call it somatic symptoms, we call it, because it affects us physically also, tingling sensation, dizziness, headache, backache, all those things. Some healthy ways to cope with stress and anxiety is experiencing anxiety. We are having constant worrying thoughts, overthinking. One way is to practice relaxation therapies. That's what has been helping so many with anxiety issues, relaxation therapies, mindfulness techniques. Why do we apply these mindfulness techniques? Because in anxiety, our mind often go ahead. What will happen? What if this happens? What if is the main thing in anxiety?
Okay, healthy diet, adequate sleep, regular exercise, maintenance of your routine time. These are also some tips about healthy habits to avoid some unnecessary stress during those preparation for exams and all. So some tips I can add those also.
Thank you so much, sir. I remember many of my friends who would get extremely anxious right before their exams, even though they have studied well the entire year. So can you provide some of the reasons as to why exams cause so much anxiety among students?
This is a very common question which everyone asks, which we have been asking, which I also asked when I was in school. So this is a real problem. Why? Why do we feel stressed? There is no specific reason, but like I've shared with you earlier, it all comes our expectations of ourselves, the pressure that we put on ourselves, or the pressure that comes from other source, like our family, relatives, friends, or the pressure that comes from within ourselves.
Stress during exam. Some cases overwhelm. Those are the reasons you are focusing. That's a good question from family, teachers, or good friends. No, to cope up with those things, we need to find some means to solve it. These days, telling this morning regarding to tele mental health program. Anywhere, anytime, you can reach out those things. So you can just call up to that 11116. This number, you can call from home, even on the road. These days, smartphones are everywhere. So immediate needs are available these days.
Often when the students are stressed, the first people they turn to are their parents and teachers. So what roles can the parents and teachers play in helping the students to deal with their stress?
First thing is basic validation, active listening, validating each other's feelings. Those are, I think, basic things. When such student is experiencing the stress and anxiety, it is much better to listen rather than searching for solutions, advices. So listening to them, active listening is very effective, is much more effective than we expect. We think that finding a solution for the student, that doesn't really happen.
Thank you, ma'am. Can you provide some of the physical signs to understand when a student is experiencing the exam stress?
Okay. Physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, and combine or others. There are symptoms like that which can be identified from an individual when somebody is physically complaining in an anxious or stressed. Common ones are nausea, vomiting, breathlessness, even palpitation, cold sweat, getting disturbed sleep, or even restlessness also. These are common visible physical symptoms that can be noticed in an individual.
Thank you, sir. For my next question, I would like to ask what are some practical ways that can help the students to prepare for their exams without feeling overwhelmed or stressed?
This is a journey. So when we talk about to avoid specific stress, like during exam stress, we can, from the time ahead, you can practice this very basic thing called time management is very important. So we keep on emphasizing on time management because it is a very big thing to take, and then to take care of your health. Your hygiene is important, to take care of your sleep. All these things affect stress. Why are we talking about sleep? Why are we talking about exercises when we are talking about stresses? Because they are linked together. And to avoid the distant stresses that you think that you will have during exams, from beforehand, making timetable, but realistic goals. Remember, realistic goals, not Not that I will study this much hours daily. No. Just simple. Start with an hour, start with half an hour, and then such realistic goals. And to keep some time for your interest, for your hobbies also. And then reminding yourself that each day, to move ahead step by step each day, not to think about what will happen after tomorrow, the next month, next year. Okay, it's natural to think about those things. It's okay, it's not bad. But when your mind goes there, bring yourself back today. What can I do? And then what time am I going to wake up? And then what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? When am I going to study? Because in student life, in later adult life, your stresses might come from different sources, but for a student, it comes from exams mostly. Give a time for yourself, an hour maybe, or half an hour, without anything. Switch off everything. Be with yourself. Think, where am I? What am I doing right now? I don't mean the deep question, what am I doing? But literally, am I sitting down? Am I laying down? Right? That is bringing your mind back to the present moment. So these are some small techniques that you can start each day.
Ma'am, for my next question, I would like to ask about how some of the students, they feel that home is a safe place where they can relax after a long day. But for some of them, it can sometimes add to their stress. So how does the environment provided at home influence the students' well-being?
We come to the basic. When I was talking about mental health covers bio, psycho, social. So family comes under social. So these are the things that are bound to affect our mental health in one way or another, maybe negative or positive. So it's always good to communicate, to share with your family. It's natural that our family don't understand as we feel. Maybe it's not true, but we, at our age, at this age, we feel that our family may not understand us as much as our friends do, as much as our close friends do. So going out and then going away from home is much better, is much clearer. People do experience those things, but those things are actually not the solution. The solution is always to share, communicate with your family. And then maybe your brothers, sisters, or your father, your mother. It's always good to communicate and then to let them feel how you're feeling. So during therapy, interactive therapy sessions between families, they also come if they're having some problems between families, interpersonal relationships also. So those things we focus on how we speak to each other rather than what we say to each other. So those are some few things which are some few basic things to let you know that it's not the solution to avoid the environment, to avoid our home environment, because that's what we need. Our social support comes from our family too, and from our friends, and from so many other things. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Overthinking is something which almost every student face today. So why does it happen? And what are some of the ways in which the students can prevent such pattern of distorted thinking?
Okay, this area is being already discussing now. As we are not with ourselves most of the time, we are not in Dimapur or in DPS. We used to be in America or Japan or anywhere, okay. So these are the modifications that the young generations are going through, and they don't know where they are sitting, they don't know where they are. It should be always rationalistic to what we are thinking and where we are. So this type of things should be, as Madam has said, our senses, insight should be the presence of mind, the reality, thought should be always intact. Otherwise, the dream that they are always stick into that, it will cause into psychotic level, away from reality, always in a dreamland, which is not normal. Abnormality or psychiatric diagnosis also become different. There's some people who are always being fantasized, absorbed into such a dream. He is no more a normal individual. He does not know where he is sitting. He does not know what he is thinking. So if it is quite overwhelmed and repeatedly coming with such a reasons which is not in proportionate with who he is, where he is. So these are a big issues. It needs a big treatment with a psychiatrist also, not even with a counselor. Many a time it will amount to that extent.
Thank you, sir. So these days, it's very easy to get caught up in friendships or relationships, and we often forget our own needs. So how can the students identify and set healthy boundaries in their friendships or relationships?
To set boundaries, okay, we all have different types of personalities. Some of us are introverted. We cannot say our feelings. We cannot, like these generations say, people pleasers. I'm a go-to person. That affects the individual. But what can we do is to be assertive and then to say, to practice, to express yourself in a healthy way. That's one thing I would like to say. Express yourself in a healthy way. I would not put it in a sentence. I would not write it down what you want, what you would need to say, because you know better. I know each of you can do this. But I would only like to say in what way you may think, you may practice thinking. That's what I would like to say. Not what you need to say, but how and in what way that can help you cope with this. So, yeah.
Lastly, I would like to ask you both, what message would you like to give to the students to help them cope with their stress, anxiety, or any emotional problem?
I'm really glad today this type of program is being organized by your institution. In fact, it's a great opportunity to me, and it should be a kind of eye-opener to the institution also. I feel like giving some takeaway message to you also. But when we think about it right now, we are dealing with stress, emotional problems, anxiety and all. This day, I got a chance to introduce you this tele-mental health also, and giving the knowledge or at least the basic definition about the mental health. This is what we should always keep in our mind. I am just reminding again and again regarding this definition of how mentally healthy a person is defined. So, and we know mental health is an integral part of the word health. In total, mental health is a must to be attended. It really matters when a person wants to remain healthy. You should take care not only the body but your mind also. And we have such a beautiful program in our state also. Telemanas, I've been repeating this one. Kindly remember 14416, because this is really having such a beautiful objectives, like easily accessible, very affordable, quality counseling or quality management to mental health problems are all provided through this one. And it is toll-free number 24/7. Not only just telephonically you can contact them, but video consultation facility also been launched. And very few countries, even in developed countries, have this facility. And India is not lagging behind in this mental health field. We have developed this one recently, and this is going to serve rural, remote populations with very big beneficial services to the remote, unreached, difficult to reach population, especially like Nagaland. So utilize this beautiful service and very appropriate to the students, because this relationship problem, exam failure with acute anxiety, suicidal thoughts, so many things, acute needs arises where you cannot access to the service immediately, maybe because of the distance, financial, or lack of support. But this line can really rescue so many students or anybody who is in acute needs or crisis emotionally. So please note this one and utilize this service. Thank you so much.
That brings us to the end of this insightful conversation. On behalf of everyone here at DPS Dimapur, I would like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to Dr. C. Kezo and Ma'am Mhiephronguno Khate for sharing such valuable thoughts and practical advices with us today. Your words have truly made us see mental health not as a distant concept, but as something deeply personal and essential in our daily lives. As students, we often focus so much on our marks, performance, and expectations that we forget to check in with ourselves. Today's discussion reminded us that taking care of our mind is just as important as taking care of our grades. And to everyone listening, remember, it's okay to have bad days, and it's okay to reach out for help, and it's okay to stop when things feel too heavy. Seeking support is not a sign of weakness, but it is a sign of strength and self-awareness. Thank you to everyone for joining this special mental health podcast. And let's continue to make our school and our environment a space where every student feels heard, supported, and valued. This is Sangya signing off, reminding you to pause, breathe, and be kind to your mind.